Good morning. Welcome to Campus de Couros of University of Minho here in Guimarães, and welcome to the High Performance Computing for Science and Innovation event. This meeting starts with the speech of Rui Vieira de Castro, Rector of University of Minho.
Good morning to everyone. European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, Maria Gabriel. Minister for Science, Technology and Education of Portugal, Manuel Heitor. Minister for Education, Research and Innovation of Slovenia, Simona Kustes. President of North of Portugal Coordination Commission, António Cunha. Mayor of Guimarães, Domingos Bragança. Member of the Board of Directors of the Portuguese Science and Technology Foundation, Paulo Quaresma. Members of the European Parliament. Dear guests, welcome to the University of Minho and welcome to Guimarães. We wanted this high-performance computing for science and innovation event to take place here on the university campus of Couros in Guimarães. This is a space that well symbolizes the way of being of the University of Minho. In this square, in the historic center of the city of Guimarães, the cradle of our nation, this event coexists with an exhibition of works behind us by young students of our Bachelor in Product Design, inspired by traditional tools and technologies. This is a university that is inscribed in its region, that claims to be the year of a past that it helped to build, that intervenes in transformation of its circumstances, and that looks to the future as a time that must also be shaped by the university's commitment to economic, social, and cultural development. The university, as we see it, is a place for generating new ideas and new knowledge. And to this extent, its autonomy is an invaluable asset. However, the university gains a new meaning if it is understood as being anchored in interactions with society, with people, with associations, companies, and public bodies. The university, as we understand it, is transnational. The internationalization of the university is an essential requirement for the qualitative transformation of education and research at national and European level, and to build a stronger and more cohesive European Union. The European University Association has formulated the mission of the universities in a way we fully agree. The unique combination of the missions of learning and teaching, research, innovation and culture, and their fruitful interrelations will remain the key characteristic of Europe's universities. These missions will be equally important and mutually enhancing, and an integrated approach will be beneficial to harnessing synergies. Through these missions, universities will support Europe's open, pluralistic, and democratic societies. This is the background against which our participation in the development of Minho Advanced Computing Center has been projected. Since the beginning, MEC aimed at strengthening the support for traditional research areas and to ensure the development of new lines of research that operate with a large volume of data. MEC aimed at promoting an infrastructure with a determining role in the organization and coordination of research activity and development in the advanced computing. MEC aimed too at ensure links with international structures and at promoting economic activities in areas of data intelligence. The year 2018 saw significant advances in the establishment of Minho Advanced Computing Center. In 2019, a MEC visualization unit was installed in the campus of Gualtar of the University of Minho. In November the same year, Portugal signed in Strasbourg the contract that allowed the hosting of the Eucalion supercomputer under the Euro HPC initiative, thus reinforcing MEC's capacity to the petascale level. The upcoming installation of the Eucalion at Ave Park in Guimarães, and we will foresee it in a moment. And I must thank the municipality of Guimarães and Dr. Bragança for its continuous support, represents a very relevant moment of the process. The University of Minho assumed the responsibilities and it is strongly committed to support the installation and the operation of the new supercomputer, which will boost the Portuguese participation in the Euro HPC initiative and will largely contribute to reinforce the development of science and innovation in our country. So thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you.
And now the Board of Directors of Portuguese Science and Technology Foundation, Paulo Quaresma.
Good morning to everyone. Dear Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, Ms. Maria Gabriel. Dear Minister for Education, Research and Innovation of Slovenia, Simona Kusek. Dear Portuguese Minister for Science, Technology and Higher Education, Manuel Leitor. Dear European Parliament members, Manuel Leito Marques and Graça Carvalho. Dear Rector of the University of Minho, Rui Vieira Castro. Dear President of the North of Portugal Coordination Commission, António Cunha. Dear Mayor of Guimarães, Domingos Bragança. Dear colleagues, as a member of the Board of Directors of the Portuguese Science and Technology Foundation, it is my great pleasure to give here some welcome words to this high-performance computing for science and innovation event. This event brings together the new 5 European high-performance computing petascale systems, aiming to create the basis for an European network to coordinate the interoperation of these systems, fostering research and innovation throughout Europe. This network will allow researchers to develop new computational models in high-impact areas and to integrate big data and artificial intelligence methodologies, allowing Europe to play a relevant role in these domains. FCT, the Portuguese Science and Technology Foundation, is strongly committed with this process, and we have already created the Advanced Computing National Network, which has 6 competence centers and 4 operational nodes, being one of them, MAC, the Minho Advanced Computing Center, which will be the host of the new petascale Deucalion system. Moreover, we are already connected with European networks via Spain and, since the beginning of this month, with Latin America through a submarine cable to Brazil. So, and to conclude, I would like to emphasize our full commitment to continue to support the community and the researchers in this domain and to work towards the creation of adequate infrastructures and networks, such as the one that will be created today. Thank you.
Now time to the President of the North of Portugal Coordination Commission, António Cunha.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Dear Commissioner Gabriel, dear Minister Heitor, dear Mayor, dear Rector, dear European Parliament members, dear leaders of the 5 petascale groups, dear FCT board member, all other authorities that are following us by remote media, guests and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you to the north region of Portugal, and of course also to Guimarães, the cradle of the Portuguese nation. We are here to celebrate science and its impact in social and economic development of our societies. We are here to celebrate the European bet in science and specifically in high-performance computing after the Rome Declaration in 2017. But we are here also to celebrate, and for me this is perhaps the key point, the EU decision to develop the Euro HPC initiative as a network of advanced computing centers spread over Europe, namely in these 5 petascale centers. Commissioner Maria Gabriel and Minister Manuel Leitor have a great responsibility in this decision, and really we are in debt to you. Thank you very much to you both. For the North, this is a strategic investment, and we have been and we will be committed to support it, namely from our regional development program. This is strategic because it's for us now a well-known facility in advanced computing, enabling all the developments in data science, artificial intelligence, modeling for science and business, but also is a key facility for research in energy, in renewable energy management and production. So we are very proud of these technical solutions, of these hybrid technical solutions of the Deucalion, the ARM and the 8080X, also of the energy farm that is being developed. For the North region, the great region where we produce the major part of the energy that is produced in Portugal, where we produce 60% of the renewable energy that is produced in Portugal, the operation of this supercomputer has to be green. So we are very committed also to the target that this supercomputer will operate based on full renewable resources. These new investments in the MAC, in the Minho Advanced Computing Center, the Deucalion and the other computing equipment, the physical facilities for research and for science outreach, the already referred energy management and production equipment is an overall investment of more than 30 million euros. It was a challenge to finance it, of course. But the next and perhaps more demanding challenge is to support the operation cost that will enable an effective use of these facilities by the scientific and by the business communities. So, Commissioner Gabriel and Minister Heitor, it will be critical to assure that Euro HPC initiative will help also on, as is helping and will help the pre-exascale centers, will be important that these centers will also have the support of the Euro HPC initiative. As chairman of the regional program, I would like to share you something that everybody knows, that it is almost impossible to finance from our regional funds operational costs, and this is why we are asking for your extra support in this issue. The future is also cooperation, and I do believe that the community of excellence that we are here to also to start between the 5 peta scale infrastructures as a magnificent perspective to foster the future that will also be the cooperation with the exascale centers. And I'd like to take this opportunity to greet our colleagues from Catalonia, from the BSC, that have been partner in this journey, and also with other groups in the world. For the North region, it's an enormous opportunity, and we are very proud to be part of this group, and we will be committed to keep supporting it. So we are indebted to all of the personalities and entities that made this possible. I had the great opportunity to witness this process from several positions and several roles that I was in charge during the last years. And so I would like to thank you all, again, Minister Heitor and Commissioner Gabriel, also DG Connect and Euro HPC leadership, also FCT, its President Helena Pereira, but also former board member Nuno Rodrigues, present board member Paulo Quaresma, and also João Nuno Ferreira, the rector of University of Minho and his team, and also in ESCTEC, José Manuel Mendonça, that is also here with us. But at last, a special thanks to Mayor Bragança. Guimarães is a city with a full commitment in science and technology, a city that is historical because this was the cradle of our nation, but here the bet is really in the future in science and technology, and the majority of the resources that the city has, based namely on European funds, has used them exemplarily to promote, to foster science and technology. And so thank you very much, Mayor Bragança, and also thank you very much, Rui Oliveira, the great developer, the man behind all this idea, all this project, and all this development. Thank you very much to you all.
Let's start the opening session. It's a pleasure to invite Maria Gabriel, European Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth.
Good morning, dear host, Mr. Rector, Mr. Mayor, Minister Heitor, dear Manuel, dear members of the European Parliament, dear directors of the Euro HPC petascale machines, dear HPC community, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to say thank you, Guimarães, for your hospitality, and thank you for your future-oriented approach by gathering us all here and now. Let me start by recalling that 70 years ago, in 1951, the UNIVAC computer that many consider as the first commercially available computer became operational. And it is part of human nature to push science and technology to the limits. And this is particularly true for the enormous advances in computing over the past 70 years. Science also evolved dramatically in these years. From individual efforts, research collaborations became more and more important to share knowledge, but also to share resources. And today's top-level research benefits from access to very advanced infrastructures, some very unique and very expensive. Many compare supercomputing to the general-purpose scientific infrastructure, with which we can model and simulate the behavior of high-temperature plasmas in very specific conditions in a tokamak. I think that we all know what that means. Or we can construct virtual models of chemical reactions at molecular and atomic dimensions. Computing in general, and HPC in particular, become researchers' companions in the age of data-rich science. And therefore, I'm very pleased to assist at your dynamism in supporting the objective to affirm the European leadership in high-performance computing. We live in times where computing is undergoing critical transformations. This will be evident in the coming decades, and Europe cannot miss the train. The petascale and the next generation of exascale computing infrastructures open completely new challenges, not only related with performance. We'll assist to a revolution regarding new technologies with quantum and brain-inspired computing, with great impact in the structure of the future machines and on the software to exploit at the maximum the available capacity. And if Europe aspires to lead in this area, it has to excel in the innovation, to define new solutions, to take on board the energy-efficient future architectures for green computing, for example. And we need to develop and master low-consumption processors that would support Europe's digital sovereignty in this critical area. So, for me, it's a privilege to commend your willingness to work together on scientific applications, establishing a high-performance computing ecosystem. Having here the Euro HPC petascale machines, fostering a collaboration framework, is a very encouraging signal for at least 5 reasons. First, it gives meaning to reinforcing the access to excellence, which is our strategic objective in building the new European research area. Second, it provides a great message of Europe's engagement in developing leading-edge infrastructures and use them to scale up the potential of regional development, of our universities' development, for the benefits of our citizens. It exploits the complementary roles of infrastructures and new technologies, hardware and software, and new applications. It brings new actors to the scene. I very much welcome the engagement of the universities. We need you. And in that way, we are strengthening the build-up of pan-European research collaboration networks, and we express our strong wish to work in order to develop advanced skills across Europe. And finally, it shows how important HPC is for science and innovation in virtually all areas, from health to physics, from astronomy to earth and space sciences. So yes, it offers many, many possibilities for national contributions, ranging from advanced computing infrastructures, including quantum infrastructures, to research and innovation, to ambitious applications in all areas of the private and public sectors. So let me stop here and let me conclude by thanking the intense work of the Portuguese and German presidencies and all the member states for the new Euro HPC joint undertaking. The regulation was adopted just a few weeks ago. Hazard or not, that was me, the commissioner, to represent again this decision in the name of the Commission. What I would like really to say, and that's my wish, is that this new regulation will ensure not only continuity with the ongoing actions of Euro HPC, but will take advantage of the investments already made. And that's why this roundtable is so crucial, in order together to identify where and how we can advance, what is the added value, and I think that we have great example here. Yes, this event comes at a very good time, and this is an excellent example of commitment and co-investment of the European Union with member states. This is the way forward for Europe to affirm itself as one of the most advanced regions in the field of high-performance computing and its application to advance science and deliver innovative products and services. So I hope that this top-of-the-range HPC ecosystem can effectively support the high expectations we have for Horizon Europe. I'm convinced, and today it's another example, that only together we can achieve better results. We have strengths, we have solid base. Now it's up to you to show us that together we can elevate and go to another dimension, the real European one, where we are all together. So thank you again, Guimarães, for helping us in this journey, for hosting this exceptional meeting. And Manuel, thank you so much for your support. I must say that we don't have so much ministers of science, research, looking always to work closely with the others in order to advance together. And that's why I appreciate your contribution and your engagement. This moment is our moment too. Thank you very much.
Let's hear Graça Carvalho, member of the European Parliament.
Good morning, dear Commissioner Maria Gabriel, dear Minister Manuel Leitor, dear Rector of the University of Minho, dear Mayor, dear ministers here, MEP Maria Manuel Leitão Marques, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure, and thank you for the invitation, to join you here in Guimarães for this roundtable on high-performance computing, an event that also celebrates Portugal supercomputer, the Deucalion. And let me beginning by saying this is an excellent name for an incredible machine. In Greek mythology, Deucalion and his wife, Pyrrha, are linked to rebuilding, to a new start for humanity. And in fact, Deucalion and his brothers and sisters, Meluxina, Vega, Carolina, discover, and the older brothers, Leonardo and Lumi, have a decisive role to play in our future in Europe. And this is about the future that I would like to talk today and our expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, the European Union established the High Performance Computing Joint Undertaking in 2018. This has been since the beginning a particularly ambitious partnership. It aimed no less than placing Europe at the forefront of supercomputing, and moreover, using this increased capability for processing and analyzing data at the service of the citizens, business, researchers, and public administrations. The phase one of the Euro HPC joint undertaking was very successful, with high levels of engagement from public and private sector, and Portugal was one of the member states that responded with enthusiasm since the beginning. And I could not be prouder to witness this moment today. I'm also proud to witness the signature and the handover of the Minho Manifesto on European HPC to Commissioner Maria Gabriel. As some of you may know, I was the European Parliament rapporteur for the HPC partnership, a report already approved by the Committee of Industry, Research and Energy, with no votes against, which is a rare result for a report that involves this significant budget and also involves distribution of budget by sectors and by regions. So it's a budget of 8 billion euros in total for the period of 2021-2033. Our report in the European Parliament builds on the European Commission proposal, but includes recommendations, what we call amendments, that I would like to stress. We aimed at ensuring that this network serves our citizens, business, special SMEs, research institutions, and also the administrations. My goal as a rapporteur was precisely to help to ensure that our computers will indeed become the engines of transformation that we aimed at the European Union. We build our report on main 5 principles. And the first is that the first measure of success of any initiative is the level of access that it grants to its potential beneficiaries. In this case, we are dealing to the access to the machines, but also access to data. So openness, transparency, and simplification need to be the cornerstones of Euro HPC, ensuring access to all stakeholders that want to have access independent of their regions of origin, of their dimension. That is what we recommend. Also, this requires a scaling up of the capabilities of many of the centers. For this reason, we recommend that there is an establishment of synergies and complementarities, namely with the regional funds, and I look at my colleague, Mr. Cunha, that is sitting near me, but also the ones stemming from the Recovery and Resilience Facilities and Plan. Furthermore, the true access requires actions aimed at informing the public about the benefits of supercomputing, something that is still a lot of work to do. But also receiving important contributions on new application areas where the potential of these resources can be deployed. We need a demand-oriented, user-driven system. This is the reason why the European Parliament has called for a creation of a user forum with advisory role, including representatives of the users, but also with the main emphasis of the industry and the SMEs. Ladies and gentlemen, create the ecosystem behind this supercomputer network is of critical importance. By this, we mean addressing, through research and innovation, the European shortcomings in terms of hardware manufacturing. We are very worried about this. We need to regain the culture of manufacturing in Europe, especially in emerging and the new technologies, like the present one. Further research also on quantum computing must also be properly ensured. Equally decisive will be the human factory. To benefit fully from its supercomputers, the EU have to address the skills and the competences. We need more researchers in this area in Europe. And we need to pay special attention to the gender perspective. This was a very important point from the European Parliament. We need more women in high-performance computing. We need more women in STEMs in general, but especially the digital and high-performance computing. We still live in the men's world, and we cannot continue like this. And we need to promote wide dissemination and awareness of the importance of the digital skills. Not least important will be the Euro HPC joint undertaken contribution to the Green Deal, both as an enabler, doing all the simulations that we need for climate change and environmental issues, but also as a user of clean energy sources. And I'm very happy that this is the case here in Guimarães, because the high consumption of energy, we need to make sure that we have energy efficiency and renewable energy for these machines. The Parliament was special vocal on this point. And also the adequate integration of the strategies that we are developed, such as the industrial strategy, the health strategy, and data strategies, and the link with other partnerships. Aero HPC and these machines need to contribute to these strategies. In short, and going back to the Greek mythology, the Deucalion and this extended family, all the other European supercomputers, may be a gift from gods. But it's up to us, men and women, to put their enormous powers to the good use of everyone. Thank you very much.
And now, remotely, the Minister of Education, Research and Innovation of Slovenia, Simona Kustec.
Thank you very much. Good morning here from sunny Ljubljana to all of you, dear hosts, dear Minister Heitor, dear colleague Manuel, dear Commissioner Maria Gabriel, dear member of the European Parliament, Mrs. Carvalho, dear all other representatives of the Commission of the European Parliament, dear rectors, dear directors, dear all other highly representative guests. First of all, let me say that I'm really sorry not to be able to be physically with you today in nice Portugal. But fortunately, we have this highly performance computing science that enables me to be with you through this media right now. And yes, speaking about today's topic of the conference, I would like to address two major thoughts about it. First of all, where we have been in the field of the high-performance computing for science and innovation as the European Union, and then further on where we are as Slovenia right now in this field. So with the presentation of some really concrete activities that actually have been able to be implemented because of the EU work and initiative. So speaking from the EU perspective, 4 years ago, the European countries adopted the Euro HPC declaration. And with this act, we committed ourselves to the intensive development of world-class computing and data infrastructure in Europe. Why we needed to do so? Because on one side, we were seriously lagging behind in the field of supercomputing, but at the same time, we were aware how important this field of science is for the future, not only of science and technology as such, but also for the future of human well-being. And especially these COVID times more than clearly actually confirmed that this ambition, that this direction was the only right one. Currently, speaking from the EU perspective, we still have quite, let me call, a mere secondary role if we put ourselves in the world map. We have only 9 European supercomputers among the 25 fastest world supercomputers right now. And this is the reason why it is important that we do debate and that we do discuss about the future of high-performance computing for science and innovation, also in the frameworks of these kind of meetings as we are having today. Because we need to find the ways, we need to find the initiatives, measures, how to foster our future development in the field as well. What is also the fact? We should be aware that all supercomputers based in Europe rely heavily still on non-European technology. And as the geopolitical situation is now even more complicated than it was 4 years ago, we can say that the underdevelopment of Europe's supercomputing infrastructure and technology also limits the EU's ability to compete effectively on the global level. And at the same time, it demands for computing capabilities that comes from European researchers and industry players in much greater than capabilities provided by European supercomputer centers. On the national level, that actually followed the signing of the Euro HPC declaration, we can right now be certainly optimistic. And I am as well, personally, very optimistic about the future that we as Europe and we as individual member states are going to take in the future also as the leading ones in the field on a global scale. With the adoption of the establishment of Euro HPC joint undertaking, and above all, the allocated future financial resources and infrastructures to be set up in this year and in 2022, Europe has clearly shown the ability and ambition that it wants to be, and it needs to be a player, not just a buyer in the field of high performance computing. And here I would like to move on our concrete Slovenian experience with supercomputing and share you really a very positive, very nice, concrete experience with what we have done in the area of supercomputing, digitalization, and artificial intelligence development. They all are the national priorities and focus areas. And in this respect, we recognize the importance of the creation of common European supercomputer infrastructure and cooperation. For active participation in the Euro HPC partnership, we allocated substantial national funding as well. And what is equally important, we carried out all the activities together with our research community and industrial partners. We are immensely proud of the fact that our research community has set up the first supercomputer within Euro HPC joint undertaking called Vega. And I'm also very happy and proud that Professor Andrei Filipcic, one of the Vega's fathers, is with us today, and that he's going to address you quite soon after our opening session with the concrete information and experiences of Vega's already ongoing activities. Our Vega supercomputer is already available and is already used by Slovenian and European researchers and users from the industry. And I'm deeply convinced that without the selfless cooperation between research institutions, researchers, and infrastructure institutions, we would not be able to set up the Vega supercomputer so quickly and so successfully. And this is one of the elementary modes of work if we want to be successful. We need to cooperate, we need to strengthen all our powers and be equally successful at the end. We should embrace the fact that supercomputer infrastructure also is a strategic resource to have and not a vanity contest. And the aim of establishing a pan-European supercomputer infrastructure should not be just to get new big machines, but to build a whole ecosystem that will exist in all member states and will be able and available to all researchers, public administration, and industry. And also here, when I speak about cooperation, I think that it is important that we share all the good practices in this regard, so to help each other and to be even more successful as the EU at the end of the day in this field. Capacity building is extremely important. The established infrastructure as such will only have value if it is actually accessible to all who need it. And the established infrastructure can be fully utilized only if it is considered as an integral part of the digitalization of the whole society, either in the framework of the national territory, but even more important, in the framework of our European Union common story. The youth future information resources, we need to adapt educational curricula and enable the use and access of supercomputer infrastructure also to educational institutions. This is where the whole story begins, in a way, from the elementary knowledge and understanding of why we do need this and what are the elements that enables us different perspectives and different usages that we want to get from high performance computing science. And from this point of view, this is also my last address that I would like to emphasize, is that we need also to speak about smaller supercomputers, because also they can play an important role in building knowledge for future digital societies, for something that is here, that is a fact, and that is one of the triggers of our common future. Thank you so much for your attention, and all my best. Take care.
Time to hear the Minister for Science, Technology and Higher Education, Manuel Heitor.
Bom dia and good morning to you all, and first and foremost to Commissioner Maria Gabriel for hosting this meeting and collaborating so hard in this in this process. We are certainly here to build the future, and I'm particularly pleased to see scientists, entrepreneurs, but also the public administration. And this is actually our ultimate goal, to bring users, scientists again, people in the public administration and in the business sector, to not only use but also facilitate the advancements of high-performance computing. And this meeting is unique because I believe, and Maria Gabriel can, I'm sure, testimony this would have been impossible 4 years ago. I do remember when we met in Rome in March 2017, and by that time also under the leadership of Maria Gabriel, that has a different role in the Commission, we organized a declaration, the Rome Declaration, to foster high-performance computing for Europe. We didn't know exactly what would happen. 4 years after, we have now 5 machines, 5 petascale machines operating or near to be operating, and they are not somewhere. They are in very strategic zones, and zones where would be completely unexpected 4 years ago. We have a machine in, as you know, Bulgaria, and I thank you very much, Professor Markov, to be with us, but also in the Czech Republic, and I thank Jamsky to be here representing Vít Vondrak in Luxembourg, in Slovenia, and also here in Minho. I should note that from our case, this is our second supercomputer. The very first one we got from the United States, and this is an European way of doing this. But building this process was possible because by a commitment of many people, and again I should recognize the role of Maria Gabriel, also by that time in the Commission, and DG Connect, among others Roberto Viola and Khalil Roumani were particularly critical, and Carlos is there by that time also at DG Connect. And these people has allowed us to build the very first joint undertaking, which now has become an example throughout many other fields of research and innovation. And again, sometimes people criticize that in Europe we are slow, but this process in 4 years, it's an amazing achievement in terms of the way to build Europe. And in that regard, the Portuguese Presidency just try to put forward the work over these 4 years and guarantee the operation of these machines. And again, I thank you, the commitment also of the European Parliament, here represented by Graça Carvalho, rapporteur from the Euro HPC, and Maria Manuel Leitão Marques. Actually, it's interesting to have here also Maria Manuel, because she has been also at the European Parliament addressing very much the issue of data in the public administration. And again, when we focus on users and the type of achievements we need to do in the coming years, certainly public administration and the access to data, as Graça mentioned, is particularly critical. And that is the reason why, not only in many of the recovery plans throughout Europe, but certainly in our case, and the last workshop organized at the European Parliament was very clear, the key role public administration will have to access and to facilitate the building up of data sources and the access of data, as well as the use of, say, massification processes for artificial intelligence, bringing together the scientific community with the public administration. And these engage from territory management, particularly through Earth observation issues, but also in the health sector, from cancer research to public health, but also in consumer prevention and in the optimization of public administration itself. Actually, last week we organized in Azores the All-Atlantic Forum, where we brought European, American, African entrepreneurs and research leaders, and certainly try to advance in the development of Earth observation in a citizen-driven process as the only way to really being able to advance in areas from maritime surveillance to fire prevention, to urban mobility, or to biodiversity management. And therefore, those types of systems and users will only be possible with access to high performance computing. But certainly, if we look at the public administration, we certainly need to speak about basic science. And again, we live in unprecedented times where we more than ever realize the key needs to more and more articulate fundamental knowledge with disruptive innovation. Actually, if we today have a vaccine, and we in Europe, as almost 65% of our European citizens vaccinated, is because we have been able to articulate, as others, particularly on the other side of the Atlantic, the development of fundamental knowledge with disruptive startups and companies to put these type of products into markets. And we know the key importance of high-performance computing in this issue. Actually, it's important also to have with us Carlos Oliveira, a board member of the European Innovation Council, in a way that, again, more than ever, Horizon Europe, as launched in the last few months, will open this new opportunity for accelerating and developing new startups, certainly in articulation with the fundamental knowledge from the European Research Council to collaborative research in an industrial perspective. And again, the building up of this articulation with innovators, with scientists, the public administration and the industrial sector will certainly benefit Europe at large. 2 days ago, actually, President Ursula von der Leyen was in Lisbon to sign the very first recovery plan. Now we have already 5 member states with contracts done. And again, within the Portuguese recovery plan, we are particularly concerned not only with the advancement of science, of economic development, but also education. And one of the programs we will launch is essentially an impulse of higher education in STEAM areas, science, technology, engineering, the arts and mathematics. And again, this will address very much the issue of gender imbalance. Actually, Grace has already mentioned this issue. When I look at this audience, is a clear symbolism of the participation of women in high-performance computing. I do remember in Rome, where we signed the Rome Declaration in 2007, in an audience of more than 400 people, there were only 2 women. Actually, those 2 women were Portuguese researchers. And today, actually, 4 years after, we have 5 machines, but we still have an audience very much dominated by a gender imbalance. And this issue, we know that it is not a short time frame, but it do require a long process of educating and engaging women since the very early stages in the most diversified sets of activities. So definitely this area of high-performance computing is structural for Europe at large and for our regional context. And again, I thank you, Mayor Domingos Bragança, as a clear example of a mayor which is engaged in research, in education, and local development. And again, if we are here, is because we have been able to, better than in any other situation, articulate different types of national and European funding. Actually, the installation of the Portuguese supercomputer here in Minho has been one of the best examples we know in Portugal of these synergies, bringing together national funds, again, the European centralized funding through the Euro HPC, but also regional funding and the city investment. And it was a big puzzle of funding sources which has allowed the implementation of this supercomputer. And Commissioner Maria Gabriel knows this well, but we also need to look at these examples in order to more and better simplify this articulation of funds at an European level. Again, the European Parliament, and Graça Carvalho in particular, was also rapporteur of some of these processes. We know that Horizon Europe, and the years before, has been able to improve the simplification and the synergies about funding, but now we have more than ever, I believe, the good examples through high-performance computing and the need to explore the synergies and the articulation of different sources of funding, simplifying more and more the processes of articulating funds. We have the Seal of Excellence at a clear example of articulating. We have now the joint undertakings, but this is still a battleground in all our regions to more and more simplify these processes of giving access to regions like the North region, but many other throughout Europe, to have access to excellence. And actually this roundtable, and I believe Maria Gabriel is particularly promoting this throughout Europe, and we should acknowledge that, is particularly the example of that we need to open access to excellence everywhere. This again has become an open question throughout Europe. We know that we still live in times of a large inequality, not only in the gender issues to access high-performance computing, but also in the concentration of funding at an European-wide context. And again, this high-performance computing network, in particular the Euro HPC, is a clear example that we can open up access to every single European region, because there are excellent people and excellent opportunities everywhere, but certainly access to excellence should more and more be an open process. Certainly, a final note also about the issues of these 5 petascales machine. I'm sure we will listen from Professor Markov and from our colleagues in Czech Republic and in Slovenia. We know, as Antonio Cunha has already mentioned, that the operation costs of these machines are extremely high. Actually, we have experimented that in Portugal. Our existing supercomputer, which we have imported from the United States, have extremely high operation costs. And it is completely impossible to run them under the current, say, funding levels at an acceptable level if you really want to expand. Actually, I should note that many people in the audience have contributed for this process. I see António Vidigal from the largest Portuguese electricity generating board. And you know, when the supercomputer is in maximum operation, the level of light in this zone of the country goes down, because it is highly concentration of power consumption. And that is the reason why the movement towards green computing has become a key role. We hope that here in Guimarães, with the great support of the mayor and the president of the North region, we will install energy ecosystem, and Rui Oliveira, the director of the Minho Advanced Computing Center, I'm sure will report on that. And again, this is not by an occasional issue. We need to remember that actually Portugal holds the world record in number of consecutive days fully powered by renewable energies. 4 days in 2016 and 3 days after that. And these rely certainly on the adoption of winds, and particularly the combination with hydroelectric power and more with solar. But again, behind these achievements is the unique research and skills developed over the years on dynamic systems which allow the integration of renewables in the electrical network. Most of that work has been done in Portugal and at an European level by a unique research center in ESCTEC, and José Manuel Mendonça is here with us, which has allowed us the development of smart grids for the fast integration of renewables energy in the electrical network. In collaboration with the energy companies, this is a clear example of fundamental science now also being used here to be adopted in the green computing systems, and I hope that very soon we can demonstrate Guimarães as also a green computing city at a best European level, and that also this network of 5 petascales machine will allow to exchange experiences in terms of green computing. For this and for many other reasons, let me thank you all for coming here and for sharing with us ideas towards the implementation of what we start calling now the Minho Manifesto on High-Performance Computing for Science and Innovation, which will be certainly a breakthrough after the Rome Declaration of 2017. Thank you very much.
And now, before the next moment, time to group photo. Please follow the photographer instructions for this picture, please. Thank you all. Let's proceed to another moment in this event. We are going to talk about building a community of excellence on high-performance computing for science and innovation. Let's start the presentations with Rui Oliveira.
Good morning, everyone. Commissioner Gabriel, Minister Heitor, Rector. Thank you all and welcome. We'll start this part of the agenda, which is building a community. Actually, it's carry on building this community that has started a while ago with brief statements from the directors of the 5 petascales of the Euro HPC Joint Undertaking Program. And I would like to ask Professor Markov to start with this presentation.
Thank you very much. Excuse me, dear Commissioner Gabriel, dear member of European Parliament, dear colleagues. I'm head of National Center for Supercomputing Applications. A member of association NCSA are Sofia University, Sofia Technical University, and Sofia Medical University. Also, Institute of Molecular Biology. Okay, like this. Repeat. I am head of National Center for Supercomputing Applications. Member of association NCSA are Sofia University, Sofia Technical University, Sofia Medical University, Institute of Molecular Biology, Institute of Microbiology, Institute of Information and Communication Technology, and 3 software company. One is very big. Main field of interest in silicon drug design and discovery, virtual prediction of drug and the polypharmacy side effect, model of the brain neural network, a massively parallel algorithm for their solutions, study of the combustion process using artificial intelligence. NCSA is member of petascale Super Consortium Bulgaria, Partnership for Advanced Computing in Europe, International Center of Excellence in Combustion, Center of Excellence in Informatics, Information and Communication Technology. NCSA has many-year cooperation with Jülich Supercomputing Center, Barcelona Supercomputing Center, Daresbury National Laboratory, BioExcel Center of Excellence, European Organization for Nuclear Research, and European Pole of Competence in High-Performance Simulation, TerraTech. I sent organizer of this event a brief technical description of petascale supercomputers. I finish with this, that discovery, it is the name of the supercomputers, now working. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Markov. The next speaker will be Branislav Janzik from Republic of Czech.
Dear Commissioner, Ministers, distinguished guests, first of all, let me thank all involved for organizing this all-important event for the European HPC community. Since late 2017, when I joined the Euro HPC preparation efforts, we have come a long way, these days launching pre-exascale and petascale supercomputers throughout Europe. The Euro HPC GU proved to be a true uniting element, bringing together European HPC efforts and communities. On behalf of IT for Innovation's National Supercomputing Center, Czech Republic, I would like to express our willingness to interoperate, to unite our strengths, and to share experience within this initiative. I would like to also congratulate Portugal and Minho Advanced Computing Center for procuring and hosting such a well-designed high-end supercomputer. And moreover, I would like to cordially invite all of you for the Carolina supercomputer inauguration scheduled for mid-September in Ostrava, Czech Republic. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Janzik. Next speaker will join us remotely. Is Professor Pascal Bouvrey from Luxembourg.
I'm very proud and happy to be even virtually now in Portugal. Indeed, a lot of cooperation between Portugal and Luxembourg, and especially at the level of university, also scientific and education cooperation, including joint degrees. So, as you know, Luxembourg has been involved from the beginning in the high-performance computing initiatives of the European Commission. It's part of our government strategy, and I'm now heading the Luxembourg Center hosting the petascale solution called LuxProvide, and the first, let's say, petascale solution deployed in Luxembourg on June 7. Melixina is now up and running. We start the benchmarking to be in the top 500. I think that we now reach this 10.5 petaflop, but also very important for me and for Luxembourg is the green aspect. So we now have a result of 26.95 gigaflop per watt, which on last ranking in November would rank us number one. We also made already a call for projects. We will have our first users starting on the 1st of July. We received 38 projects, a very nice balance between industry and research, 40% industry, 60% research. In terms of industry, we see space technology and Industry 4.0 as the main part, but on the applied research, we see also things like health tech and fintech, which are also part of the targets for Luxembourg. As you know, we have a strong focus on the data economy, and we believe that HPC, as you know, has been very, let's say, helpful for science and using a lot of physics, for instance, on finite element methods, fluid dynamics, which definitely speak to our industry. But if we start speaking about data, big data, AI and machine learning, we speak to the whole companies and people in Europe. So and our target is definitely also to help for the SMEs and startups. In that context, we also joined forces at the level of the Digital Innovations Hubs organized by the European Commission, and bringing research, universities and industry together. I'm delighted to see that we are now the 5 petascale solutions around the table, because I think there's a lot of things in common, experience to share, best practices, but also opportunities to create joint projects. So let me congratulate you again for this great initiative, and Luxembourg and in particular LuxProvide are looking forward continuing joining forces. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pascal. And the next speaker will be Andrej Filipic, also joining us remotely from Slovenia.
First, my apologies for not being able to attend in person. So I would like to welcome all the guests, and especially our Minister of Science, Education and Sports, Professor Simona Kustec. And I would also like to add upon her words, in my opinion. So first of all, Vega was a very challenging project because it was actually a merge of 2 different projects. So one was the Slovenian HPC plan called River project, and the other one was extending it to Euro HPC status. So in this relatively short time, it was challenging due to very short deadlines. The Vega became operational in the 2 months ago as a first Euro HPC in operation. And immediately it attracted an enormous interest from scientific communities, from Euro HPC calls for projects, and as well as from industry. So basically Vega is fully exploited and used from the first day of becoming operational. We couldn't do this with a strong support from our ministry and especially of science, especially many people they found solutions to hard obstacles. In any case, we had one crucial element here, because we founded SLINK Consortium, which is a partnership of all Slovenian partners, universities, research institutes, public affairs, and so on, which want to collaborate on supercomputing and digitization. We also have strong collaboration with other HPC centers already, for example, within Leonardo Consortium. And as a consequence of this, we also managed to organize the first Austrian-Slovenian conference a couple of weeks ago, which had enormous success. Let's say more than 200 participants participated, which really shows a very strong interest in HPC activities in Slovenia. So the pressure for using this HPC is clear from all the communities, not only the classic HPC applications, but from all fields. And I think that on this field, let's say the high performance computing overall is not yet quite ready, and it would need to invest a significant effort into development of tools, software, or deploying the infrastructure to enable easy and transparent usage to all communities and users that want to use the supercomputing. So that's why our vision is that we should support all the communities from all the fields, so scientific, academic, public communities, and industry or commercial sector that could rely on prime supercomputing in Europe, and try to integrate all other centers as well, because just to build a supercomputer, it's not the final solution. For example, it's the same as in public transport. So for me to come to Portugal within less than 2 days nowadays is not quite possible and easy, because it doesn't help to have a good infrastructure in some of the countries. So all Europe must be considered. That's why our 5 HPC petascale centers are really important in setting up, let's say, a vision or show how this infrastructure could be easily exploited and work. And especially a really strong collaboration for development tools between all the centers is also needed. And I'm not saying this just because there will be big words, but I know as a fact, as a scientist, that many scientific communities are forced to work in large scientific collaborations, and this is the only way they can build up and have successful large-scale scientific endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Just a brief statement from my side. Science only makes sense if it reaches us, but us all. These fast, powerful systems are instrumental for social good and economic impact. These are therefore a means, as Andre was saying, not an end, for science and innovation. Innovation-based science that we all crave, especially in these particular times. A major concern with Deucalion has been its power efficiency and its downright sustainable operation. To this end, Portugal is investing more than 7 million euros equipping MAC with a state-of-the-art innovative powering and cooling system based on the local harnessing of renewable energies. Deucalion is a particularly important system in European HPC ecosystem. It has been a bet, and all bets carry risks, on bleeding-edge technology, not available or even tested at the time of the Portuguese proposal. Deucalion is now the newest brother of the largest and most innovative supercomputer in the world. It will be our great pleasure to share it with the rest of Europe and Europe's friends. Deucalion will be the last of the 5 petascale machines to enter operation. But nevertheless, I would like to invite Commissioner Gabriel, the Minister, to a virtual visit to what will be the Minho Advanced Computing Center and Deucalion Computer. Thank you.
Now we are going to prepare the equipment for the virtual tour. Let's wait a few moments, please.
For the interest of time, I would propose to carry on with the program while the visit is happening to Mac. Okay, so I would like to carry on to the next part of the agenda, which is very brief statements of several researchers and industry users of the Minho Advanced Computing Center. So I would like to ask Ana Alonso for her testimony.
Hello, good morning. So I would start by thanking for the opportunity for speaking today. I'd say first that research and innovation create a synergistic ecosystem that benefits both science and society. and the impact of application of supercomputing and HPC to advancing fields such as physics, chemistry, biology, among others, is well known, as well as the expected downstream effect on industry and society. What's sometimes overlooked is the fact that improving the accessibility of capacity of advanced computing infrastructure has on research in science, computer science, and engineering. This effect comes from changing our assumptions of what's possible, what's practical, and what's necessary. Examples include tolerating and actually leveraging heterogeneous computing resources, providing capable and efficient storage systems, tackling energy efficiency, and even addressing privacy-aware computing, which is essential to ethically leverage big data. Finally, the achievements of research on HPC already have and will likely continue to trickle down to everyday technology, as evidenced by the small supercomputers that can also place phone calls that we all have in our pockets. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Ana. I would like António Vidigal to tell us about his experience on using Mac.
Dear Minister, Commissioner, distinguished guests, I would like to start by congratulating everyone involved in this initiative. Euro HPC has a huge importance for utilities in general and for EDP in particular. Utilities are still some of the most complex systems around, and they require the processing of huge amount of data. Utilities are presently going through a huge digital transformation, and things like smart grids and Industry 4.0 connecting with predictive maintenance are presently in the making, and supercomputing is needed and essential. To finish, I would like to emphasize the importance of Euro HPC to build competencies in Europe and in big data and AI, which are essentially for industries in general and for utilities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, António. And now, Miguel Nóbrega, please.
So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to share my experience with HPC, and specifically with Mac. We've been working with Mac for a few years, and not only on scientific developments, obviously this is important. We have been developing tools, new tools, to perform simulation and scientific computations. But we also have been working with industry, in close cooperation with industry, doing calculations that would not be possible to be done within the required computational times without Mac. This has been motivating companies to add computation to their development processes. So we're really talking about their digital transformation. All these activities has been increasing our external visibility, and one of the main outcomes of that is the Hexaphone project, a European project funded by Euro HPC, joint undertaking, and national funds that joins 12 partners from 7 different European countries, and the University of Minho is one of the work package leaders in that project. And that project aims at taking OpenFOAM. OpenFOAM is open source framework of open source computational library and the purpose of the project is to take OpenFOAM to petascale and pre-exascale hardware, to take advantage of that hardware. So all these obviously would not be possible without using Mac, and obviously we're willing to start working with Deucalion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miguel. And now, Carlos Oliveira from European Innovation Cloud.
Dear Commissioner, dear Minister, dear Rector, thank you very much. Good morning to you all. I would like to start by just stating that data is probably, as you know, the most valuable and will be the most valuable assets in the world for our societal development. And so initiatives like the HPC at the European scale are really important to get connected the entire ecosystem from science transitioning into society through innovation. In this world and having been part of EIC, the European Innovation Council, for the past 4 years, we want to help scale up breakthrough and deep technologies. These initiatives can also be very important as tools for that development of startups and scale-ups in Europe. So the access and the education, the creation of skills in the society, not only in the scientific world, but as well in the industry world and in academia, is really critical for the success of our countries and Europe in this era. I'd like also to state that this is also an opportunity on tech sovereignty. I think that this is the technological sovereignty of Europe is not only about the usage of technology, but also about the creation of technology. And I believe that we should not only be users of these, and as mentioned by the Commissioner, of these technologies, but as well producers of the software, but as well the hardware. And in a world where we have a chip crisis, I think this is the moment also for Europe to think how can we bring industry, going to MEP Graça Carvalho's statement on how can we bring industries that produce the chips to Europe that then can be used in this HPC and other initiatives for the future. So closing my quick remarks, as the time is of essence, I'd like just to restate that the importance of education and skills in these areas, the gender equality and bringing more people to these areas is fundamental, and the access to startups and scale-ups to these technologies. I think that if we really want to get to the dream that the EIC is trying to achieve, which is helping researchers to transition their ideas, research into society, is really important that we have access, a democratized access to these infrastructures by the entire society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carlos. And now for our last speaker, Susana Barbosa. She's Chief Data Officer of MAC.
So from the MAC side, what I can say is that we see MAC as really make a very big impact in terms of data management in Portugal. And we do have a long way to go. And MAC will be much more than a place to storage and manipulate data. We'll establish a very clear data governance. And although we are here celebrating a wonderful infrastructure, the key is not the infrastructure, I think. It's not even the data. The key is people. And I think at MAT we'll work very hard on making data for people, with people, by people, and really fostering data-driven sustainable development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susana. And this is for this part of the agenda. And again, to the interest of time, we would pass to the closing remarks, and I would invite Maria Manuel Leitão Marques for a speech. Thank you very much.
Dear Commissioner, dear Ministers, and special dear Minister Manuel Leitor, dear Mayor, dear Rector, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the invitation and my congratulations on this event, on the Minho Manifest and on European high-performance computing for science. High-performance computing infrastructure allow for advancing processing of massive amounts of data, and as you point out, this can help in promoting Europe's well-being, sustainability and resilience, and also digital sovereignty. AI and big data have also the potential to revolutionize our public service, as Minister Manuel Leitor referred before. They can help better allocated public resources, target inspection, bring the regulatory process closer to citizens. And the importance of this technology for public services has already been recognized at various levels of governments. At EU level, we have the AI Watch initiative in a joint research center to monitor policy initiatives of member states. And in Portugal, also we have taken various steps to integrate these technologies in our public administration. Before being a member of the European Parliament, I and the Minister Manuel Heitor launched a program to promote the use of AI in our public services by using data they produced. We awarded research funds for projects in the condition that they had to be designed and submitted by partnerships between public entities and researchers, the first ones providing the problems and the latter ones providing solutions. This has been a huge success thus far, and we have more than 70 projects that are attempting to use AI to improve public administration in initiatives now coordinated by Paulo Quaresma. These projects span a great range of areas such as education, transports, health, market surveillance, and land management. And if I had time, I would give you best practice in all of them. This is not the case, so let me highlight only two projects. In education, for example, we have a project that aims to use AI to predict factors that contribute to early school leaving. That is a problem. Its goal is to help to identify students that might require support and to provide policymakers with better data to inform the design of the policies. And there is also a project naming decoding legislation to develop natural language processing algorithms that would allow for search and interpretation of legislation on consumers' rights based on citizens' questions in non-technical language. Dear Commission, imagine if we had a system like this that would help researchers and enterprises to understand the complex rules of application for European funds. This would simplify the process, saving time currently spent on bureaucratic process. Let us try something similar. In other words, there is much potential for the use of AI in public administration, which could be further enhanced if we had a lot of data, good data, and high-performance computing infrastructure. In order to achieve this potential, we must continue to work together, building partnerships that are crucial for the future. They can allow for the transfer of knowledge between stakeholders and to better prepare public service to use artificial intelligence. I will finish by congratulating you on the Minho Manifesto and by saying that you can count on me to help to put in practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now for the closing of the session, I would invite you to address us some words. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. We have 2 minutes for a pause of 2 minutes. The closing remark happens at the conference corner with Maria Gabriel, Manuel Heitor, and remotely Simona Kustek. We come back after 2 minutes. Thank you all again.
I will be very brief, and I would like really to share for 2 minutes my concluding remarks. First, yeah, but for me it's important because I have a message for the next step for the community. You know me how I'm working, huh? We achieve something and we already look for the next step. So first, thank you very much. Thank you. At the beginning I said that our approach is future-oriented, but what we have seen with your interventions is something more. Our approach is mission-oriented, is demand-driven, and it's problem solving. So I think that here, that's a very symbolic day. Thanks to all of you. We are sending a very strong message, a message about cooperation, and a message about our wish for common achievements. And that's my plea. I'm sure that we'll be able to realize a lot of common achievements. But we need really to bring the scientific community, the innovation communities together with you, universities, because I'm fully convinced that the HPC community cannot stay in isolation. So that's why I ask you to make all the necessary efforts to associate yourselves with scientists from all disciplines and support them to exploit all the potential of these fantastic logic machines. And here, let me ask you the next step. We all, in all your intervention, we have seen that it's good to have the manifesto. That's the beginning, that's the key point. But we need a clear action plan. Action plan in order to see how to support science and innovation, especially by developing the required advanced skills which European science and industry need. So that will be my plea. Let's meet again in October, November, in order to see what is your proposal for your action plan, in order immediately after to identify what are the concrete steps, that instruments and we can use. And why I'm proposing this? Because I think that we have to use the chance that for the first time within the same portfolio, with one commissioner, we have research and innovation and education, culture and youth. And that's something very, very important. So that was my conclusion. I would like really to say thank you. And I hope that in October, November, we'll be able to see, because we have the Minio Manifesto, now we are advancing with different pace, together, with more and more concrete perspectives of common achievements. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry about the mess with the virtual visit, but
No,
these
no,
things
no,
never
no,
work.
no.
They
No,
never
no,
work.
no, but
Isto é uma máquina para os cidadãos. Referido para criar uma rede europeia para facilitar o acesso de investigadores de toda a Europa, juntamente com empresas, para poder utilizar. Estamos a falar em aplicações que vão desde, por exemplo, a prevenção do cancro na detecção de tumores, à questão da prevenção dos fogos com sistemas de observação da Terra ou à mobilidade numa cidade. Todos esses sistemas hoje, que têm muitos dados, precisam de ter poder computacional para poderem ser tratados. Também há outros casos mais fundamental, como a origem da matéria, ou a física dos plasmas, ou as comunicações quânticas. Portanto, são áreas de ciência fundamental que precisam cada vez mais de grandes computadores para ser usados. E, portanto, esta rede de 5 computadores europeus vai possibilitar o acesso a atividades de investigação e de inovação. Há uma questão crítica, é que estes supercomputadores têm custos de energia muito elevada porque têm que estar em ambientes a temperatura baixas sob grande controle. E por isso, estes supercomputadores, também aqui no Minho, estão a ser instalados juntamente com sistemas de produção de energia renovável. No Minho, o computador está a ser instalado no Ave Parque, juntamente com um ecossistema energético que foi cofinanciado pelo Fundo Ambiental, de uma forma que o computador seja alimentado por energia solar e energia eólica, reduzindo os custos de energia do computador. Temos a experiência do primeiro supercomputador, que tem custos elevados e, portanto, este novo supercomputador vai substituir o antigo para reduzir para cerca de 30% os custos de operação. Grande parte desta reunião hoje tem associado a construção do Manifesto do Minho, que é uma rede entre as 5 computadores que vão agora começar a ser financiados pelo programa Horizonte Europa da Comissão. E o que a Comissária hoje aqui pediu foi um plano de ação para a própria Comissão cofinanciar os custos de operação destas máquinas. Depende da taxa de utilização. Portanto, quanto maior for a taxa de utilização, maior serão os custos de operação. Mas estes custos não são finitos. Posso estimar que no caso da máquina portuguesa, espera-se ou estima-se um custo anual de operação de cerca de 1 milhão de euros. Certamente porque os supercomputadores atraem hoje muitos utilizadores por todo o mundo e junto dos supercomputadores instalam-se também empresas e cria-se um ecossistema de inovação. Vê-se isso noutras zonas do mundo. Devo dizer que o primeiro supercomputador foi instalado em Portugal na colaboração com o Estado de Texas em Austin, no âmbito do programa Austin Portugal, e hoje vemos que Austin é um grande centro de inovação, porque esteve associado também à instalação e à produção de semicondutores e, portanto, à indústria de eletrónica avançada que está associada aos supercomputadores. Não, a Comissária pediu uma reunião daqui a 6 meses com um plano de ação para a utilização massiva dos supercomputadores. O que se pretende é que estas máquinas não estejam isoladas, mas que estejam em grande interação com investigadores e empresas por toda a Europa e, portanto, o acesso às máquinas tem que ser um acesso aberto. E isso é preciso ter um plano de ação para garantir, massificar o acesso às máquinas e, sobretudo, mobilizar utilizadores.